Yeah. So if you don't, I'm saying that if, with the passage of time, the ignorance only increases more and more. That Gajendra prayer, there is a beautiful prayer also. It says that how with time only ignorance increases. It doesn't decrease unless we consciously endeavoring to uh, to mitigate that kind of ignorance. It increases more and more. We need to consciously endeavor to gain knowledge, thereby curb down this ignorance. So all this ignorance is explained in this verse, how we are ignorant. Our ignorance increases by attachment to the different identities, five elements, and accepting subtle body, gross body at different levels. Ignorance is expanded. Hmm. तदर्थं कुरुते कर्म यद्बद्धो याति संसृतिं यो अनुयाति तत् क्लेशम् अविद्या कर्मबन्धनः.
For the sake of the body, which is a source of constant trouble to him and which follows him because he is bound by ties of ignorance and fruitive activities. He performs various actions which cause him to be subjected to repeated birth and death.
So the main cause is explained because in childhood and boyhood, youth, the main underlying factor is ignorance, identifying with the body. That's why he's suffering. So that is explained. The ignorance. We also read in the Bhakti Shastri and how ignorance is the root of all the miseries, how it sprouts into different things, how one performs sinful acts, sinful desires, and sinful acts, and then how it results prarabdha, and how continues the kutam. So, but the ignorance is the root, anadya vidya. So, this ignorance is the one thing, is the main root, that is the causing repeat birth and death. That's what avidya, karma bandhanaha. Because of avidya, we are bound by karma. Because of that, dehardham kurute karma. So tadardham means dehardham kurute karma. Because of avidya, we do all, we are bound by the body. And because of the body, we do all kinds of activities, different activities, though religious sometimes, and sometimes irreligious activities. Both, both causes one to go through this material world, go through all this cycle of birth and death. Even if one is religious also, it's not sufficient. One should be spiritual in the sense that one should uh, develop attachment to the Lord, Supreme Lord. Just by being religious means following the Shastra, is at best in mode of goodness. So just mode of goodness doesn't make one go beyond the world. So they have them kurite karma. So by karmana baddho yati samsrutim, because of karmana, by all these activities, both pious and impious, punya and papa, they only cause maybe up and down, going to Swarga, going to Naraka, again coming earth. So all this because of karma. And deha niyati tadat he attains deha. Because of karma, he attains deha. Because of deha, he causes suffering, which causes a lot of suffering. So this all cycle is explained, how he's going through merry round. So Prabhupada explains why and how one is bound. Read this one.
In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one has to work to satisfy Yajna or Vishnu. For any work done without the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of bondage.
Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If you don't perform any activity for the pleasure of the Lord or for the advancement of spiritual life, then it is only causing bondage. So that's the main point, that we need to always remember that this body is Krishna's body. This is given by Krishna. This is meant for Krishna's service. I am meant for Krishna's service. So the more we keep on reminding ourselves, reminding ourselves, and then whatever we do, we offer before and after, let it be pleasing to the Lord. So by that, consciously and purposefully, specifically offering to the Lord, then only we are out of this bondage of the activities. Otherwise, it will bound us, it will bind us. Krishna says in Gita that bandham moksham cha yaveti sa buddhi parda satviki. That intelligence which can discriminate between what is binding and what is liberating, that intelligence is in mode of goodness. So, what to speak of mode of Suddha Sattva is just to please the Lord. He's not worried about what is binding or not binding. That is entirely different level itself, devotee's consciousness. But at least what is binding, what is liberating, that intelligence which can understand, it's called in mode of goodness. Mandam moksham chayaveti sa buddhi sa pada satviki. So yeah, we endeavor. Bhakti is simple. My dear Lord, I am doing it for you. Prabhupada writes in that section, I think in Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, there he writes that one has to do certain kind of activity, and that activity has to be performed with love. Everyone has to do some activity, and that activity has to be with love. So that is called bhakti. I'm just paraphrasing, but he mentions this point. One has to do certain activities, and that activity has to be with love. That's it. That will not at all bind us here. Otherwise, everything will bind us here. Yes. Prabhupada explains more of how we are all bound by different layers. So we are bound by this bodily consciousness, not only individually, but even modern civilization, the way it is working, as everyone is bound, not only individually, but at all levels, bodily conception is reinforced, social, national, government, everyone. So at different levels, they are bound by this. Even yogis are bound by their desires. So the conclusion is that as long as one is fixed in the bodily conception, he has to suffer birth and death. That is the conclusion. So avidya, we need to come out of this avidya. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namah. This avidya, ignorance, is compared to darkness. So we need to come out by hearing from spiritual master, reading from Shastra, glorifying the Lord. All these things we need to practice them. So thereby we can at least sometimes you can remember it's for pleasure of the Lord in a day. We may not be very perfect that all the time we may not be remember, but at least there is also a regulation for a devotee that when he wakes up, he's offering obeisances to spiritual master and the Lord. प्रातः प्रबोधितो विष्णु ऋषिकेणाय त्वया यत्तत् कार्याय ईशानो तत्तत् करोमि तवाज्ञया. My dear Lord, you woke me up early in the morning. Please let me do whatever you order me to do. Let me be engaged in your service. So before going to bed, also we offer obeisances to spiritual master and Prabhupada and the Lord. Let me take rest, only to gain more and more energy to serve you more. So these are various aspects of our devotional service. Keep on trying to spiritualize every aspect for the pleasure of the Lord. That's why, that's how we can be unbound. Of course, that we are not just endeavoring to unbound ourselves from the material entanglements. We are meant to just to please the Lord. That's the ideal consciousness of a devotee. We just want to please and serve. Text 32. Yadyasadhipati punaha Shishnodara Krutodhyamaihi Astito Ramate Jantus Tamo Vishati Purvat.
In therefore, the living entity again associate with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensuously minded people engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and the gratification of palate. He again goes to hell as before.
So if we don't develop Krishna consciousness, if we can't practice Krishna consciousness, then same as we go to the same paths as mentioned before chapter. So Vishnu Chakravarti was saying that as before, he will again get a body fit for hellish punishments and enter hell. This implies also that if instead of associating with sinful people, he enjoys in his life with efforts for serving Krishna, again he will attain Krishna. In that case, Purvavat means as previously described for the devotee. It's a beautiful point that Purvavat is mentioned here. If we don't Purvavat, this has a pun, this has a double meaning here, Purvavat. If we don't practice Purvavat, explain how the 31st chapter uh, explained out how hellish planets and all. Same thing, we will be caught up if you Shishnodar Parayan, if you just enjoy with bodily enjoyments. So we are caught up with this avidya resulting with these enjoyments, then one will be caught up with this cycle of birth and death and hellish planets. But if one is able to associate with devotees and thereby developing Krishna consciousness again, and definitely he will come to that stage of where he is praying to the Lord, he is remembering the Lord even in the womb. So that kind of position he will come to. So in that case, previous Purvat means as describes the devotee's condition. Round and round, merry-go-round, only wise can go unbound. So, so if you don't practice, we go round and round, merry-go-round. Abrahma Bhunaloka Punaravartino Arjuna. But only the wise can go unbound. The wise devotee who engages in Krishna consciousness can be unbound. Prabhupada explains all this, how one enters into Tamishra, the Tamishra, doggish life, and etc. So we have a little less time. We'll go ahead. Prabhupada purports they are all very powerful. Explain. Please go through them. Okay, here it is clearly said that one may officially be very religious man, but if he associates with such persons, then he is sure to slide down to the darkest region of hell. Yeah, both Sangi Sangam, those who are sinful people, or those who are attached to sinful people also, very dangerous. So from this point onwards, again till 32 and to 48 is another section where how it's the root, the sangha, the association that we talked now. If you are not careful about practicing bhakti, but if you're rather associating with people, sinful people, then what will happen? Then same thing will go round and round. That is explained from 32 to 48. So the sufferings are explained for the baby, boyhood, youth, how he is entangling with his desires and so many sufferings. And that root is avidya is explained till now. So, and then now this section explains that that avidya will not be destroyed if we are associating, if we having a wrong association. That avidya can be destroyed if you have right association. That is the main point of this verse also, and the next continued section also. Association is very crucial. Satyam Saucham Dayamonam Buddhi Sri Hi Yasha Kshama Shamodamo Bhagascheti Yat Sangat Yati Sankshayam. Continue.
He becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all such opportunities.
Yeah. So the connection, who is bad association, he described now. What is bad association? What kind of persons are considered bad association? So describing such persons, Kapila forbids their association in 3 verses. So all these, those who don't have these qualities, one should not associate with them. That's the main point. At Sangat, from the association with whom all these are destroyed. That's Sangat. So we should not associate with them. by whose association we are deprived of all these qualities. That association is very, very dangerous, very destructive for our spiritual life. And basically, it increases ignorance. Basically, any association only does two things. Either it is reinforcing the ignorance or it is destroying the ignorance. Which association we should take, that depends on us. So the only two things happen by association. So one association brings and increases avidya, ignorance. Another association will destroy the ignorance, increases knowledge. So that's the main point of the section. So that association which destroys, which depletes these qualities is a wrong association. All these qualities that is explained here. Who is bad association describing 34 to 36. All these verses explain. Teshu ashanteshu mudeshu kandidatmeshu asadhushu sangam na kuryat chocheshu yoshit krida mrugeshu cha.
One should not associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman.
Please read first 3 lines.
The restriction of the association with such foolish persons is especially meant for those who are in the line of advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Advancement in Krishna consciousness involves developing the qualities of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, intelligence, and spiritual knowledge, simplicity, material opulence, fame, forgiveness, and control of the mind and the senses. All these qualities are to be manifested with the progress of Krishna consciousness. But if one associates with a Shudra, a foolish person, who is like a dancing dog in the hands of a woman, then he cannot make any progress. Yeah, when we are talking about association, we may not be directly associating, but we need to see how the association is infiltrating into us through various things, various media, social media, people, any gadgets, all this. So we need to be extremely careful. That association, we need to be careful. So that association we should avoid. One should not associate with these people. Sangi Sangat, you should of course, initial part of this section maybe appears to be criticizing women and their people who are associating with women. But many times we need to clarify, or you heard also, but we are not criticizing women as a class here. But the point is mentioned how it is dangerous for the man and woman, for both each other. For man, it's a woman, for a woman, it's a man. It comes later on the section, the point comes again. So we need to understand that basically the attachment is wrong, which is not centered on spiritual level, spiritual understanding, spiritual advancement. Yeah, that's the main point. Now he's asking question, Sachin Pro, that explains shyness. Shyness, in the last section, Hirir, Shrir, Hir, Yasha, Shama. Is shyness. Shyness, Prabhupada mentioned, especially the shyness is a feminine quality. The shyness means, yeah, she is very chaste. She is very chaste in the sense that she is not at all outgoing, and she is always shy in the sense she is not at all mixing with all other men, but is very she is very chaste. She is shy in terms of exhibiting the womanly qualities. People are nowadays, of course, there is no shyness at all. Even in schools and colleges and everywhere. The Prabhupada also, when you might have read in first canto, but how women need to be shy in the sense that That the quality of shyness attracts the respect from others. Prabhupada gives example of a sweeper woman. He writes in the purport only in the first canto. When Prabhupada and many of his friends were talking, had meeting in a home, a superwoman came and she was shy and she was standing outside. She was very shy and she was covering her head, and she was standing outside. And that they observed that she was standing because we are inside and she wants to clean the room. And because by understanding that, they all came out and she went and did her service. So there Prabhupada glorifies that she, because of her shyness, he could demand, he could attract, she could convey or command the people of gentle people to move outside. So that kind of shyness, Prabhupada explains. By her shyness, she could command people uh, to come out of the room without any saying anything. So that is the shyness, the quality of shyness is explained by Prabhupada. In terms of woman, that is explained. But unfortunately, it's not the present age. So that's my understanding. Is it okay, present Prabhu?
Ah,
Yes. Okay. So text 35. Basically, the association of woman for man and man for woman is explained here in this section. First is woman is explained for man, how it is so dangerous, especially those who want to advance in Krishna consciousness, advance in spiritual life. One should be extremely careful. And Prabhupada quotes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. One should be extremely careful. One who wants to advance in spiritual life. Text 35. Na tatasya bhavenmoho bandhaschanya prasangataha yoshit sangat yata pumso yata tatsangi sangataha.
The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women.
Tatsangi sangataha. It's more condemned than woman itself. For a man, woman is one level, but that sangi sangata, that person who attached to woman, is such a dangerous thing that Sadhu Swami gives a powerful example. Yata agnina vishta loho, just like a loha, iron rod, when it is agnina vishta, when it is infused with fire, dahati, how the iron burns. Tata agnir apina dahati iti bhava. Even the fire can't burn as the loha, the iron rod burns one. Even Agni may not fire, even the fire may not burn one. So that's a dangerous thing, association of this. That's Sangi Sangataha. That's a beautiful example to understand.
So,
So,
so, so Prabhuji, it is said like the fire is the association of woman and the iron is the association of men who
yeah,
are attached to women.
man, yeah, that's a comparison. Yes, Agni is compared to woman. Yatha Agni Rapi Nadahati. Just like woman compared to Agni. And that Sangi Sangataha, that Loha is attached to fire, that Avishtaha, Agni Avishta Loho, that burns much more intense right now than Agni itself. So that's the example is given to understand. We should be careful. Prabhupada explains very emphatically that one should be extremely careful at all levels. Okay.
So Prabhuji, nowadays,
Mm.
we are in colleges. So like we see that, the students, they are intermingling without any this thing, it has become like a culture.
Correct.
So it is like that culture is the iron, isn't it? The
Yeah.
culture of free mixing is like more dangerous than fire also.
Yeah, nowadays we
The
cannot even
wrong
speak.
understanding.
We cannot even speak in the classes like this in Sumandog. Such a unfortunate situation because of Western culture and all. So yeah, what to do? Because if at all, if possible, we try to be in certain situations where we can sustain our lives by proper. I mean, in without all this and without all this kind of exposition towards culture. But if we happen to be, one thing is to avoid completely. But if we can't avoid, we can minimize it. That's the only thing. That's why we need to infuse ourselves morning and evening, and with this powerful spiritual messages and association and vibrations that we manifest, that we go around while going and coming in our cars, or we can have such a soothing music. And see, basically we need to understand our where our mind is absorbed immediately in spiritual things. So when we come out of college or job, so we should immediately be absorbed in particular things. So that we need to find out a soothing music or a lecture or a kirtan or a temple or a devotee or whatever it may be. So otherwise, mind is already contaminated. Otherwise, we will be unfortunate victims of this culture. Yeah, we
Prabhuji,
need to.
also we can say that the mobile and other devices, that is also like that iron, because
That's
through
what I'm
that
saying.
many of
Yeah,
these things are.
yeah. That's Sangi Sangha. This is mobile is such a dangerous thing. Mobile, laptops, and the internet whole itself. We need to be careful. We need to be careful as long as we are striving for a spiritual consciousness. That's why we minimize the usage of mobile, or we have parental control or restrictions. Many things are there, so we can have all those things in mobiles. Everything. In fact, Kali Yuga is surcharged. Prabhupada writes, surcharged with all this opposing culture, opposing elements everywhere. So we need to be extremely careful and we endeavor sincerely. Yes. Okay. Such a amazing example is so striking, you know. यथा अग्निना विष्टलोः दहति तथा अग्निरपि न दहति. It's powerful. So we should be careful. So Vishnu Thakur is saying that one should not say that a woman cannot bewilder the intelligence of great souls endowed with discriminating intelligence. Here another saying that I am very intelligent. I am very sharp in my intelligence. Spiritual. I have spiritual intelligence also. I can discriminate what is Maya, what is Krishna. No, one should be even then also one should be extremely careful. That's why this verse is spoken next verse. So one should not say that women cannot bewilder my intelligence because I'm a great soul endowed with discriminating knowledge. I'm practicing from last 30 years, 40 years. Nothing can happen to me. I'm a Grihastha, nothing happened to me. I'm a brahmachari from 40 years in ashram, nothing happened to me. One should not have that kind of a illusion. So one should be extremely careful. Any example? This verse is speaking that example. So how association with women Yojic Sangha is the cause of misfortune. Another hetum is explained from 7 verses 36 to 42. Now for a man who is not a devotee, who is not endeavoring for spiritual perfection, or who is also endeavoring for spiritual perfection, especially with a view towards enjoying the objects of senses, should be extremely careful. Another hetum, they are a cause of misfortune. That is explained in next verses, all these verses. First example is spoken. प्रजापति स्वाम दुहितराम दृष्ट्वा तद्रूपदर्शितः रोहितभूतां सो अन्वधावत् रक्षरूपी हतत्रपः.
At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind.
So these examples appears to be quite out of consciousness and culture. It's a very drastic example, but still, examples are given, and these are history to show how powerful the illusion is, the attachment or the attraction is. So these examples need to be carefully remembered Prabhupada explains in different levels. It is best, therefore, to practice controlling senses by performing Bhakti Yoga, engaging in service of Mother Mohan. Lord Krishna's name is Mother Mohan, for he can subdue the god Cupid or lust. Only by engaging in service of Mother Mohan can one curb the dictates of Mother Cupid. Otherwise, attempts to control senses will fail. So, I just a reflection came to my mind when I'm chanting. So, if we chant with attention, then we can invoke love of God. And if we chant with inattention, then we invoke or we invite God of love. God of love means is a Cupid. So if we don't chant with attention, then we only invite God of love. That's why we need to chant with attention, which can invoke, which can infuse us with the love of God. Otherwise, opposite thing happen. Love of God, God of love, right?
Very nice, Guruji. Very nice.
Quite a contrast. Yeah, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions that this God of love and love of God, Krishnendriya Piriti cha Atmendriya Priti cha Tare Balikam, Krishnendriya Priti cha Tare Dhare Premanam. So Atmendriya Priti, one who wants to enjoy his own senses, is termed as lust. Atmendriya Priti Vancha Tare Balikam. That is said by Kam, it's Kama. Krishnendriya Priti cha, one who wants to serve the senses of the Lord. Dhare Premanam, that's called the Prema. So Kama and Prema are entirely a different. Loha and gold example are given. Andatama, it's dark, complete dark Kama. But Prema is Ujjvala, Surya, Ujjvala Bhanu, it's a blazing sun. It's like a love, Prema. So they are entirely different. So we need to be careful about this aspect. So we need to come out of that. So that warning is given, that warnings and cautions are given in this Srimad Bhagavatam section. So that kind of examples are given here. Tatsrashtas, this is another very famous verse also to mention the gravity of that attraction. Tatsrashta srashta srishteshu konan akhandita dhipuman rishim narayana vrute yoshin mayyeva mayaya.
Amongst
Among
all
all
kinds of
kinds
living.
of
Yes, Guruji, please read.
amongst all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigod, and animals, none but the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of woman.
So that's a powerful. Except Narayana, of course, it's the mention of this clause by Prabhupada, except the sage Narayana, none but the sage Narayana Rishi is immune to attraction of Maya in the form of woman. That is mentioned. Acharya has mentioned that Narayana, because at one level it can be mentioned, because the sage Narayana, he came in one universe which was created by Brahma, and that can be understood, and he is immune to anyone that pastime came. That pastime we understand that Narayana Rishi, when he was doing meditation, Indra became envious, Indra became insecure and sent, I think, Rambha, Morosi. But no, some celestial girl he sent. But Narayana Rishi himself produced so many apsaras from his thighs. And out of that, I think Urvashi came out, I think. So even Indra was very much satisfied by Narayan Rishi giving the gift of a beautiful girl. So that's how the Narayan Rishi's great position is demonstrated in that pastime. That's how we can see. Yeah, he came in one of the Brahmandas. We can understand that he can be immune. He is immune from all kinds of attractions, allurements. But in another way, Acharyas explain that we cannot explain the verse in this way, that one should not take the sentence to mean among creations of Brahma, who is not bewildered except Narayana. So, because if you take from that viewpoint, among all the created beings by Brahma, so except Narayana, if you say, then it comes to the conclusion that okay, Narayana is also one of the created beings by Brahma, right? No? That statement makes that kind of clause. Except Narayana, who is not bewildered in the created beings of Brahma. When we say, oh, Narayana is also created by Brahma, then it's not a logic, it's not a scriptural truth, because Narayana is supreme, Brahma is the only living entity, right? Now this would contradict the fact that Narayana creates Brahma, because contradiction happens, because in actuality Narayana creates Brahma. So that then how it is has to be explained? It has to be explained that those persons who do not worship Narayana, Narayana Mrute, and their intelligence, so those who do not worship Narayana, their intelligence will be disturbed by the form of Maya. So that's how it has to be explained. That's the comment of the Acharyas. That those persons who do not worship Narayana, whose intelligence is not destroyed by Maya in the form of woman. Yeah, that's question. Here question is asking. Question was asked, among those created by Brahma, such as Marichi, and those created by Marichi and others as Kashyapa, and further descendants such as Devatas, humans, those persons who do not worship Narayana, so among them, who is spared, who is not disturbed by Maya in the form of man? Of course, this may be a little confusing if you don't understand. Leave it. But basically, this question is that who is not disturbed?
Yes, very clear, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Who is not disturbed except the devotees, non-devotees, except the people who do not worship Narayana. Yeah, that's the point. Who is not disturbed? Who is except who those who do not worship Narayana? Means basically devotees will not be disturbed. All others will be disturbed. Okay. So basically that's but the very caution is given, warning is given, how it's very, very, very difficult, very insurmountable attraction between man and woman, and now one should be extremely careful. So these two verses very, very cautioning us in that, to the extreme degree. Text 38. Balam me pashya maya stri maya jini jaino disham या करोति पादाक्रांतं या करोति पादाक्रांतान् भ्रुविजुम्बेण केवलम्. This is another example. Okay, you are speaking about people. Okay, can you give some example? Oh, example is given here. Balam me pashimaya. Kapila Muni is saying to mother only. How strong this attraction. He is explaining to mother. Balam me pashimaya. Stri maya jino disham. Oh, the kings. Even kings are also, who conquered all over the world, are just at the feet of woman. Please read.
Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under.
Yeah. So many stories we know. Prabhupada explaining about the hair charms of Cleopatra, that story of world conqueror, great personality. Prabhupada explains one has to study the captivating potency of woman and man's attraction for that potency. From what source? Prabhupada here very beautiful thing he brings out, that one has to study the captivating potency of woman and man's attraction for that potency. From what source was this generated? He is directing, okay, where this attraction is coming from. So it's a very beautiful contemplation. His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj in one class, a whole class is explained on this point, from where, how this attraction comes into picture, how it works. How it works, he explained in almost half of the class that, see, a male cat is not attracted to female rat. Right now. I mean, a man is not attracted to a female cockroach. However beautiful it may be. For a cockroach, it may be beautiful. For a male cockroach, it may be, a female cockroach may be very beautiful. So the principle of attraction is very much conditioned to species. So one species is not attracted to another species, though maybe at different level. The male and female may be different, but one is not attracted. So the attraction principle is Prabhupada is bringing out that attraction is coming from Krishna. So that so one is how the species are bound like that. The whole species are bound in such an attraction principle. So that's the beautiful point that Prabhupada brings out in these purports. Maybe you can go through. So the world is pointing to Krishna, but I miss the point of Krishna. So by studying this attraction principle that is generating from because of Radha and Krishna, Prabhupada comes to that final point. All the attraction is just coming because of attraction between Radha and Krishna. That attraction is there. That's why that small attraction is falsely reflected in this world. That's how we are bound here in this material world. But we need to rise to higher level of understanding, and then we come to position of where we can be attracted by Radha and Krishna. Param drishtva nivartate. So when one is attracted by the transcendental beauty of Radha and Krishna, he is no longer attracted by material feminine beauty. That is the special significance of Radha Krishna worship. We need to raise our attraction. So there is a beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. It says that Krishnera charana hoya yadi anurag Krishna vinu anyatra tara nahi rahe rag. When we are attracted to Krishna Charana Hoye Edi Anurag, when we have a great attachment and attraction towards Krishna Charan, then Krishna Vinu Anyatra Tara Nahi Rahe Rag. We will not have any other attraction other than Krishna's lotus feet. So we need to be attracted more and more to spiritual beauty than the material beauty. So what is the conclusive statement from understanding the power of Maya? Don't associate. Sangam na kuryat. We should not associate. May not be physically, but mainly internally. Physically, so nowadays it's quite, we cannot go into forest now. We cannot escape into forest, but we need to be careful internally. So that's the main sangam na kuryat. We should not associate. So at least we will try to see some more verses and we'll pass. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu yogasya param param arurukshu मत्सेवया प्रतिलब्धवात्मनो मत्सेवया प्रतिलब्धात्मलाभो वदन्ति या निरयद्वारमस्य. Read.
To reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self
No.
by rendering service.
Translation. Need to read. One who aspires.
One who aspires to reach the culmination of by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee.
So one who aspires to reach culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service to me should never associate what is aspiration and what is the condition is explained. So that's a position defined as the ultimate goal. So Prabhupada defines the culmination of Krishna yoga is full Krishna consciousness. We come to the love of God, that is ultimate goal. So why we are not achieving that goal? Pratilabdha Atmalabha. So, labha, atma labha, we should achieve the goal, but we are deprived of the goal. Why? The cause is explained. So, one should be careful about this association with women that Prabhupada explains what is the ideal standards for different levels of grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. Especially grihasthas can be given allowance association with women, and they have to be also extremely careful. That's what Prabhupada's point here. So basically, everyone has to be careful in associating. So yeah, these are all these verses. The association which causes the ignorance, which is riveting the ignorance to body level, the material level, is explained. That association has to be extremely careful, and the main prominent of all the attractions is the man and woman relationship. That's the point of this section. Yopayati shanairmaya yoshid deva nirmita tam ikshet atmano mrityam tranai kopam ivavrutam. So how one should see, examples are given here, the previous verse and this verse. This verse is explained, Sangam na kuryat is explained with a caution. Sangam na kuryat, one should be careful. Yeah, this of course very strong word is used, niradwaram, how it's a gateway to hell. Of course, Krishna explains we should not take it as personalities, but the principles we need to understand. Narakadvedam. What is the verse? I think I wrote here the verse. Krishna explains this verse in Gita 16.21. Trividham narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanah kama krodastadalobas tasmadetam trayam tyajet. One should give up all these three. Yes. All these three are narakadwaram. We should be careful. Lust, anger, and greed, which is prominent, is lust. So that is explained here. And the example is given in this verse. Yopayati Shanirmaya. Please read translation.
The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind whale covered with the grass.
So that kind of example is given, especially when it's considered like a well, especially in forest, especially in forest, sometimes it happens that some places which are level to the ground, but they are deep in, like they are wells, small kinds of wells. But all the time the grass may covered over. But animal doesn't know that. Any animal, oh, the grass is very green and I can eat. When it is growing, when it's going down the path, immediately it falls into that ditch because the grass is on covering the well, which is not seen at all outside. So that's how it loses its life. So similarly, one should be careful in associating. That's example is given here. Read this one. Hare Krishna. Some other
Sometimes
devotee can. Yeah. Continue.
happens that
Sometimes
a rejected well is covered by grass.
some other devotee can read. I think his voice is breaking or signal is losing. Okay. Sometimes it happens that a rejected well is covered by grass and an unwary traveler who does not know of existence of the well falls down and his death is assured. Similarly, association with woman begins when one accepts service from her because woman is especially created by Lord to give service to man. So that service has to be properly utilized. So otherwise one's advancement will be blocked. Vishnu Doctor saying that so now the section is changing that so there's till now for a man it's woman is explained and now the section turns around. For a woman it's man is an issue. That's how Kapil Dev explains both ways. Just as a woman is a cause of problems for the man, For the man who with bhakti and jnana, a man is a problem for a woman with bhakti and jnana. That is explained in 2 verses. Yeah. So basically, one who is a jiva who is longing to advance in spiritual life and who is having bhakti and jnana, and one should be extremely careful for the opposite gender. Yeah. Text 41. Yam manyate patim mohan manmayam vrishabhayatim stri stri tvam stri sangatah prapto vittapatyagраha pradam. Please read.
A living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the form of a woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets.
Continue.
From this
Continue.
verse, it appears that a woman is also supposed to have been a man in his her previous life, and due to his attachment to his wife, he how has the body of a woman.
Yeah, the jiva in the last life, a man who was attached to woman, so he became woman in this life, and especially one who is advanced, one who is trying to advance, at least they should be extremely careful in the form of a man. So that is called given caution to women. So those women who is extremely, especially devotees, and they should be extremely careful with the opposite gender. So, but the cause is also explained. The why we got the body of woman is also cause is explained in this verse. Prabhupada explained the same from Bhagavad Gita point of view. How he was a man, but he was attached to woman, but that's why he got the body of woman in this life. So Prabhupada explains from a scriptural point of view, Bhagavad Gita point of view. He's explaining in the Hindu scriptures, therefore, woman's chastity and devotion to a man is greatly emphasized. A woman's attachment to her husband may elevate her to the body of a man in her next life, but a man's attachment to woman will degrade him, and in his next life, he will get a body of woman. Of course, this is general point of view Prabhupada explaining, because generally a body of a woman is little more having a physically kind of austerities and etc. may not be performing, but a man's body is considered a little more conducive for the spiritual advancement. In terms of that, Prabhupada is mentioning here, but not in any way for devotees. For everyone, that's what Prabhupada explains. Any later on, Prabhupada quotes a beautiful verse from everyone can get salvation. One practices spiritual life. So these are the very beautiful purports. Please go through. Okay, we'll pause here. It's already 4:40. We'll complete in next tomorrow's class. 6 verses are remaining. Basically, these verses 32 to 48 explaining about how both attraction between man and woman is very, very dangerous, and we should be careful and cautious in dealing. And thereby we can decrease the ignorance. That's the main point. This attraction will increase the ignorance, body level ignorance. So that's the main point of the section. Okay, we'll pause here. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If you have any question, maybe tomorrow we can discuss. Hare Krishna.